So let's take an example to know how to solve for the primary settlement of the soil. So let's have an example here. So the figure A, so ito yung figure A natin, shows a profile. The uniform distributed load on the ground surface here given yung ating additional pressure is equal to 1,000 pounds per feet squared. Yung H1 natin, which is the height of the sun, is 8 feet. Yung H2 natin, 15 feet. Ito yun. The height of the sun, underground water. And yung H3 natin is 17 feet, which is the height of the clay. So for sun, our unit weight for dry unit weight is equal to 110. So ito yung dry unit weight natin. Gagamitin natin dyan since andito yung groundwater natin. And yung saturated naman natin is 115 pounds per feet cube. And for clay, yung saturated unit weight natin is 120 pounds per feet cube. And yung given liquid limit is 50. The void ratio is 0.9. So we need to solve or we need to estimate the primary consolidation settlement if, first, the clay is normally consolidated. Second, the pre-consolidation pressure is 2,600 pounds per feet squared. We're gonna use CS, that is equal to 16 cc. And the third one, the pre-consolidation pressure is 3,170.6 pounds per feet squared. CS also is equal to 1/6 cc. Here are the solutions. So for letter A, primarily settlement FC if clay is normally consolidated. Ito yung equation natin to solve for the primary settlement if our clay is normally consolidated. Ito yung equation natin. We have to solve CC. Yung H po natin is given. Given po yung H natin, which is, ano yung H natin? Yung height ng clay. Kasi dito po mangyayari yung settlement natin. The height ng clay, which is 17 feet. So, yun po yung H natin. Given din po yung ating void ratio, E. Given din yung void ratio natin. So, what about our additional and our effective P? Is it given? No. Ang given is yung ating additional pressure. Given itong additional pressure natin. Pero yung effective pressure natin, wala pa tayong effective pressure. So, hindi natin masosolve yung ating primary settlement since wala pa tayong PO. So, we need to solve first the PO and yung C. Then, after solving, yung value natin, isa-substitute natin dito sa ating equation, makukuha na natin yung primary settlement ng clay dito. So, first is to solve CC and PO. So, yung CC natin, given yung liquid limit natin, 0.09. This is our equation to solve for CC. We substitute the value, yung CC natin, or what we call the compression index, is 0.36. So, kindly check na lang if you have a calculator, paki-recompute if the answer is 0.36. How about our PO? How to solve for PO? Pressure. So, pressure is equal to height times the unit weight of that soil. So, yung PO natin is given by this equation. So, we have, in the past slide, we have 3 layers of soil. May height 1, height 2, and height 3 tayo, which is given. The unit weight of the soil times the height, yun yung ating pressure dito. So, H1 unit weight, dry unit weight of soil, meron din tayo nito, given, which is 110. H2, given. Unit weight, saturated unit weight of sand, given din ito. So, saturated since yung sand natin is nasa baba ng groundwater. Ito, dry since yung sand natin is na just above our groundwater. Since we use this as saturated, kailangan nating minus yung unit weight ng water. Kasi yung hinahanap natin is the effective pressure. So, aalisin natin yung effect ng water. So, we need to subtract the unit weight of water. And then, plus yung third, the H3. So, bakit dinivide natin yung height ng H3? Since yung effective pressure na kinukuha natin is at the midpoint of the clay. So, ito yung total height natin, i-divide natin ng 2 para makuha natin yung midpoint ng ating clay. Yun yung height ng ating third layer ng soil. So, just multiply it by the effective unit weight, which is the saturated unit weight of clay minus the unit weight of water. So, pag kinuha natin yan, ito yung magiging values natin. So, the effective pressure at the midpoint of the layer where settlement is required is equal to 8, H1 yan, dry, unit weight 110, H2 which is 15, saturated unit weight of sand is 115 minus the unit weight of water which is 62.4. Yung height ng clay natin, yung H3, 17, divide by 2 para makuha yung midpoint times the unit weight of saturated clay minus the unit weight of water. Since yung unit natin dito is pounds per feet din yung gamitin nating unit weight of water. Pag kilonewton per meter naman, yung sa meter cube yung sa ating SI, iba din yung value ng ating unit weight of water which is 9.81. So, substituting this and solving this using your calculator, yung ating effective pressure at the midpoint of our layer where settlement is occurred is 2,158.6 pounds per square feet. So, ito yung magiging effective pressure natin. So, looking at our equation, may CC tayo, may H, may E, may PO na tayo, may delta P tayo. So, kompleto na tayo. So, we can now solve for the primary settlement of SC. So, substituting values, ito yung kalalabasan. So, yung 17, yung H natin dito is the height of the soil layer where the settlement will occur. So, yung 17, yung sa soil layer nung clay. 0.36 times 17 over 1 plus 0.9 log of 2,158.6 plus 1,000, yun yung ating delta P, divide by the 2,158.6. So, using your calculator, we can now solve for the primary settlement if the clay is normally consolidated NCC, which is given to be 0.533 feet, or in inches, we have 6.396. So, ito po yung solution natin for letter A. Paano isolve yung settlement if normally consolidated. So, for letter B naman, so for solution for letter B, we are looking for the primary settlement, SC pa rin, primary settlement pa rin, if the pre-consolidation pressure is 2,600 pounds per feet squared. So, meron na tayong pre-consolidation pressure. First thing to do here is we need to identify if PO plus delta P is less than or greater than our PC. Yan yung unang gagawin natin. So, given, ito yung given natin. Yung PO, which is solved in part A, yung delta P, 1,000. The PC, this is PC, 2,600. So, i-determine muna natin if PO plus delta P is greater or less than PC to know which equation will be used in solving our primary settlement. So, PO to 158.6 plus 1,000, that is equal to 3,158. This is greater than 2,600. Since PO plus delta P is greater than PC, ito yung gagamitin nating equation. So, yan. So, we need to use SC, H plus 1E, log of PCPO plus PC, H1 plus E, log PO. Wala natin, wala pa tayong swell index. So, we need to solve first the swell index, which is 1/6. According to our problem, 1/6 of CC. So, CS, 1/6 of CC, that will be 0.06. That will be our SC. And then, meron na tayong CS. So, we have to input values here in our equation. So, ano yung magiging sagot natin for the primarily consolidated? Yung SC natin, we will use our calculator to solve our primary settlement. We will be getting 0.316 feet or in inches, 3.792 inches. And lastly, for letter C. So, ano yung hinahanap natin for letter C? So, for letter C, we are looking for the primary settlement. If the pre-consolidation pressure is 3,170.6 pounds per feet squared. So, the same, the previous example natin, sa letter B, first is we need to identify if PO plus delta P is greater or less than our PC. So, given lahat yan, so yung PC naman natin ngayon is 3,170.6. So, we need to identify if this is greater or lesser than PC. So, substituting value of PO, delta P, that is equal to 3,158.6. That is actually lesser than 3,170. So, using these equations, since PO plus delta P is less than PC, use this equation. So, given lahat ng ating values, CH, H, PO, and delta P. So, just substitute values, 0.06, 17 over 1 plus 0.9 log of 3,158.6 over 2,158.6. So, using your calculator, you're going to solve the value of primary settlement that is equal to 0.089 feet or 1.068 inches. So, let's have another problem. Let's have problem 2. So, let's have another problem, problem 2. So, we have here our problem. The figure A shows a soil profile. Ito yung soil profile natin. The uniform distributed load on the ground surface is equal to this value, 100 kilonewton per meter squared. So, H1 is given, 2.5 meter, 2.5 meter, and this is 3 meter. So, yung given, sa past problem natin, ang given is unit weight. Ngayon naman, ang given naman dito is the void ratio and our specific gravity. For sand and for clay, our liquid limit is 55. We have to estimate the primary consolidation settlement of the clay layer, assuming that it is normally consolidated. So, we assume that our soil is normally consolidated and we need to estimate our primary consolidation using this given data. So, given natin void ratio and specific unit weight. So, for our solution, since we don't have a unit weight, we need to solve first the unit weight of sand and clay to solve for our effective pressure. Kasi kailangan natin yung unit weight ng ating soil in solving effective pressure. So since ang given for sand and clay is the void ratio and GS, we can use that to solve for our unit weight. So we have to solve first the unit weight of sand, soil, sand, and clay. So for sand, the dry unit weight of sand, dry unit weight, kasi yung unang layer natin is nasa taas ng ating ground water. Ito, yung unang dry unit weight ng sand ang gagamitin natin since this is above the groundwater table. And ito naman yung unit weight ng saturated, yung makukuha natin dito, pati sa clay, since this is underground water table. So we have here the dry unit weight of sand, specific unit weight times the unit weight of water over 1 plus E, that is equal to 2.65. Yung gamitin ninyong specific gravity is from yung sa A, which is 2.65. Unit weight of water is 9.81 kilonewton per meter squared over 1 plus 0.64. So using your calculator, you can get 15.85 kilonewton per meter cube. And we also need to solve the saturated unit weight of sand, that is underground water table. So pag saturated, ito yung gagamitin nating equation. Given yung GS, given yung void ratio, given yung ating unit weight ng water. So just substitute values here in our equation, makukuha natin ng 19.68 kilonewton per meter cube. That is the saturated unit weight of sand. And lastly, the saturated unit weight of clay. So yung yung specific gravity ng clay plus yung void ratio, substituting value and solving it in your calculator, we will get 18.33 kilonewton per meter cube. So this will be the saturated unit weight of clay. So we all have now our unit weights of soil. So sa ating primary settlement equation, normally, equation na gagamitin natin. So CC, may CC na ba tayo? Wala pa. Yung H, meron na tayong H. Ano yung height nung clay? Yung H natin, which is, that is 3 meter, yung height nung clay where the settlement will occur. So, ano din yung gagamitin nating E? Siyempre, yung gagamitin nating E is yung E nung ating clay. Since doon mangyayari yung ating settlement, yung E natin is yung void ratio ng clay, log of the effective pressure plus the additional pressure over the effective pressure. So, ang wala natin dito is CC and PO. So, additional pressure, given yung additional pressure natin, so, ito yung kukunin muna natin, yung CC and PO. We need to solve CC and PO. So, solving CC and PO, CC is equal to 0.009 times liquid limit minus 10. Given yung liquid limit natin, which is given by 55. So, substituting, we will get 0.405 yung CC natin. And solving for our effective pressure, PO, yan. Effective pressure is the height times the unit weight. So, this is for soil layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. So, the same, we need to divide this by 2 since we will be getting the effective pressure at the midpoint of the layer where the settlement is required. Kailangan natin i-divide ng 2. And of course, we need to subtract the unit weight of water since we are getting the effective pressure. So, we need to substitute values here. Ito yung value natin. So, 2.5 times 15.85 plus 2.5 times 19.68 minus 9.81 plus 3 over 2. 18.33 minus 9.81. So, input that in your calculator. We will get 77.08 kilonewton per meter squared in our effective pressure. So, meron na tayong effective pressure, meron na tayong additional pressure, meron na tayong void ratio, meron na tayong height ng clay, meron na tayong CC. Masosolve na natin yung primary settlement ng ating soil, which is equal to, yan, so just substitute values, lahat na yan meron, substitute nyo lang sa equation, then input it in your calculator, masosolve natin 0.231 meter or 231 mm. Yan yung ating primary settlement for problem number